Any other questions about this? So we talked about the integral expressions. The integral expressions are such that they have integer operands, um, and no promotion to floating point takes place. The floating point expressions are those involving floating point numbers. Mixed expressions is when we mix numbers of two types, and the promotion takes place, and we already talked about it many times. Precedence rules are always followed. They're absolutely always followed. They cannot be altered by the programmer. They cannot be, I mean, they're followed unless you use the parentheses. Then you say, no, 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 that's what I want. That's the order that I want in my expression. Otherwise, precedence rules, kick in at any point in your expression, and they're just completely mandatory. So we're done with this presentation, which was Intro to Java. Moving on, I'm going to close this one and move on to the next topic, which is the discussion of strings, scanners, and parts of Java API, and what else is out there in terms of what's available for us to program. Strings are extremely useful. Strings, what the string does is allow us to store text, right? So someone wants to type some text, or we want to create a prompt for the user. And even in our simplest programs, just like this one, we kind of like say, oh, look, we really want to print text. We really want to make it at the least somewhat friendly, not just print numbers, but annotate and print some text. So naturally, it's just the strings are part of almost anything that we do in programming. So string is the data type to manipulate strings of text. Makes sense. So the variety of what string can have is, I actually should be timing myself, right? So it can have 0 characters, for example. Nothing wrong with having a string with 0 characters. Let me make it side by side here, and if I keep typing, so I guess let me get rid of this demonstration and say string. So string is available to us as a data type, such as well as integer or a double. It's different, but it's available. You don't have to do anything special to bring it into your program. It's already imported for you as part of the language package. And I'll say str. If I say string, I want to capture a string. Well, typically, most strings have some text in them, right? But if I specify an empty set of quotes, double quotes, what happens is that there will be a string with 0 characters in it. So the length of such string will be 0. But that's okay. It's called empty string. Yes, question. Yes, it does. Does it take any space? Yes, absolutely. An object, this is a real object. It's allocated. It has all of its methods there. It has all of its, all the methods are available on it, but it also has at least a field which keeps track of of how much space it's allocating, and it's apparently will be 0. So at least one integer will be in memory, and yes, it does take space. So it's real. It's not like it's discarded at compile time and doesn't have to take any space. Very good question. Thank you. Yes, it does take space. It's a real object. So must be enclosed in double quotes. Let me just print something like this, right? Just more typical string. Enclosed in double quotes. Null or empty strings have no characters. Let me kind of clarify this. I could construct another string and just say, I would like to postpone creation of my string object. I can say this. I can actually, let's see if the compiler says variable, oh, variable str is already declared, so this is like str2, okay? So if I want to postpone creation of an object, I can initialize it with null. And it's not something that I'm going to talk about right now, but um, it's something that I'd like to mention here because I'm using this null, and it's just something that is another possibility. It's basically an attempt to delay creation of an object. Not going to discuss it right now. So not to mix it with an empty string. Empty string is a real string. A null string is basically the string that hasn't been created just yet. So there's nothing wrong with then doing something like this. Then str2 is really being created. But that's something that we will discuss in a little bit. And the length of the string is obviously the number of characters. So str length, we can actually try to find out what the string length is. Right? I could print, I'll make it short, str dot length right here, and I can print str2 dot length. Let me run this quickly, and the expected things came out. First, 0, and second is 5, which means that str has 0 length because it has no characters, and str2 is the length is 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters in it. So it measures the length in characters. But here's something very interesting about strings. Unlike primitive data types, for instance, if I have this result 10, right? If I take it right here, result 10 is an integer. If I say dot, it's not a legal syntax. It's not going to be accepted as something valid. There is no length over here, right? It just, that doesn't work. However, so I will just, comment it out as an example or demo, right? But string has a length method built into it. In fact, if I look at this in our interactive environment, in our source editor, as soon as I hit dot, I get this whole list of things available with it because string is an object. And from CIS 123, you know that objects come with behaviors. And behaviors are written as a set of methods in Java. And so here they are. I can do like search my string. I can concatenate. I can compare. I can trim strings and many other things, right? So string is an object. So seeing the string is our first. The string is the first view of an object, first touch of an object in our presentation overall. Actually, it's not the first one because out was probably introduced earlier, right? It's another type of object. But clearly, strings, which we can now create on our own, is an example of Java object. So we need to discuss the difference between the primitive data types, such as booleans, integers, doubles, and others, compared to objects. This will be our focus. As well as other things. So let's save all of this and save this segment.